Right.
Hey Johnny, how are you?
I am good. And how are you today, Robbie?
I'm pretty excited. So when you introduced me to this concept, literally created a picture of an office setup, an environment, of a culture. And I'm really excited to discuss that. Can you just explain it in a layman language?
So, I would like to pose a thought provoking question to you. Okay. So, have you ever felt like your success at work automatically meant someone else's failure?
Yes, in fact, I had work in an environment where there were just two of us. I was a senior and there was a junior with me, and it was a small team. And just because I was senior, I was handling critical tasks. Automatically, all the good perks were given to me.
Hmm.
And that just made the junior very furious.
Okay. So, that is something that you can define as zero sum culture, which in simple terms is a mindset where one person's win is seen as another person's loss. Okay. And in this particular issue, like in this, it's more of a culture. Okay, it's like how organization have been so far built, or I will not say all organizations, but at least majority of the organizations that exist these days, right? And the problem with this particular culture is it is, for me, okay, personally I feel that this is a short term, mindset is what I feel.
So I knew that my team setup was like that. But are there any, another processes or from industries where it is common?
I have mainly seen it in sales. I have seen it in marketing majorly, because what happens is there, the whole game of sales and marketing is that, oh, who is doing better? Okay. And in that situation, you're like, okay, that person did better, so that person becomes the benchmark and the rest of the people are useless. So say if there is 100 crore target, all right, and somebody does 101 crore of sale. Now that person is like, okay, I did 101 crore, but there are people who have done 10 crores, 20 crores, 30 crores, 40 crores. They're like, okay, so they become very insignificant because they did less. So that is something that I have seen the zero sum culture in action. I think in normal organizations as well, like it's not only sales, in certain organizations as well, at a very micro level, teams, probably it happens. Like, for example, oh, you did so many cases in KYC, for example. So in KYC field, you have like, oh, you have to do at least 8 to 10 cases in a bank, at least in an international bank, it is like 7 to 8 cases on a on at least 10 to 15 days. So in a month, at least 14 to 15 cases in a month. Now, if somebody does 20 cases, they are praised that, oh, so 20 cases he did, 20 cases he got the 20 cases completed. But there are people who have done 10 cases, 12 cases, 14 cases who have also contributed to the team, but they are not getting any credit for what the work that they do. Sometimes it might happen that they were slightly slower because they were focusing on quality. So you did not appreciate their quality. So that is one of the examples that I can give in my personal experience.
How does it affect the team members, and what are the consequences if we think of zero sum work culture perspective?
I feel that it contributes to stress and burnout. And why? Because the main issue that I feel why it stresses out someone is the same thing that our parents used to do. Look at him, look at this particular kid, he's doing so better than you, and you also study, but I don't see that kind of result that that particular kid is bringing out. So it sort of, so if that particular point stressed you when you were a kid, imagine the same stress, or probably the core memory getting unlocked, and then you're going through that whole school time phase, that oh, you get stressed out again.
Yeah.
And this, because of this continuous exposure to stress of performing on par with the best of the best, it sort of burns you out.
It really sounds that it will affect my mental health as well,
Correct.
because it will give me, you know, anxiety, and it will give me a feeling of low self-esteem.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough, or I'm incompetent,
Hmm.
which could also lead to depression, especially.
True. Now, imagine when you go through all this, like you went through stress and burnout, and the management is not like nice to you. Okay, the next thing that happens is that you start cutting off with your team, or probably if you're working in a team setting, you sort of become a recluse. Okay, don't you think that that particular person will be cut out? That's the first effect, that oh, he's a low performer, so let's not collaborate with him. And that low performer as well will not collaborate with anyone because that particular person is stressed out. Also, what happens is, let's not only talk about low performance, also high performers as well, who are doing good, but they're like, oh, I am at the top because I am an individual who is doing good as an individual, correct? So why should I collaborate with these low performers? And what if they gain on me because I collaborated? So that shift also happens. If you feel that I am at the top because I am good at something and they are not, then obviously they'll be left behind.
Hmm.
Is what I feel.
So that's how it will impact employees.
Correct.
What is your take on leaders?
So the problem is that when I see this kind of culture, so I feel that the leaders, they're not able to sort of build a community of people. Okay, or this is something that I've always told to my peers, or probably who is managing teams, is that you need to build a team, because these are individuals who are working in a group on a on their own targets. Okay, but if you want a really good team, in the sense that they are like achieving all the points that are necessary for growth. Okay, because it's not only one metric of quantity, it's about quality, it's about training, it's about gaining that subject matter expertise, building processes, improving efficiency as well.
I also believe that, from a leadership perspective, if there is a little transparency on merit basis, if the perks and the rewards are given to person who is like performing well, but there has to be something. I won't say non-performer, but another team player, because if the design is as such, there will be many ways where you can create other opportunities. Maybe a new skill a person can develop, maybe an opportunities to train,
Mhm.
or to be enough competent, or bring that person to the level of another person who is thriving. So this may result to competition on an environment.
Correct. Yes, and it's not only continuing to the point of leadership. So what happens is that if you don't have healthy competition, you don't have collaboration, you don't have that mindset that oh, growth is your mindset, or as an individual as well, because for a leader, when he or she is building a team, there are a lot of these individuals who are not only thriving towards achieving the goal, but also there is a personal growth as well. Like, for example, you are an analyst, or you started as an analyst. At some point of time, as a leader, I have to think that, oh, there should be someone who should back me up when I'm not there. So you just can't decide that, oh, he is my backup. No, it doesn't happen that way. You have to build that or inculcate that sort of feature in people, that okay, when I'm not there, you have to do these 5 things, or 2 things, or 3 things. You cannot give them the whole 10 things, but at least you have to give them the 3 4 things that make that your role essential, and when you're not there, okay, there is a backup.
Sounds like a
That
smart delegation of work.
yes, yes. So delegation of work, only happens when you build the trust factor. So trust factor is very, very necessary. And if you do not build the trust factor, that particular team will not grow. And there is a high chance that if, for example, I'll ask you a very direct question. There are five people in your team and you are one of the analysts. You're doing good. Okay. But say, for example, the four of them are not doing good, but I will only concentrate at you. The rest of the four are doing their best, but not on par with you. And if I only give you that kind of importance that, oh, you are my person, you are the person, and nobody else is as good as you, what will happen to the four people?
So it appears that the four of them might see this as favoritism.
Correct.
And secondly, again coming back to the same setup, if every rewards and perks is going to me, they might feel less valued. They might look for better opportunities out.
So that means there is a high chance of attrition. And yes, it happens a lot, correct? Now, how does it affect organizations? Okay, on a very broader concept or a broader note, I would say that it affects innovation. Okay, if you're just concentrating on a specific target and not innovating, then there is a high chance that you will cease to exist. Like, for example, Nokia, they were concentrating on selling their phones, and while they were concentrating on selling their phones which had the Symbian OS and everything, slowly and steadily Android market was growing, and then Apple came with their own set of innovations, and suddenly Nokia was like no longer relevant. Do you remember those phones, the yellow color phones that they had started yellow with the Windows OS?
Right. Yeah.
They were very innovative, but unfortunately they could not catch up in the market because on the innovation bandwagon they were quite late. So that is one thing that I feel is quite necessary, that you might miss out on innovations. Next thing is, a lot of the organizations have these departments. Okay, if you just think about it, like in your own organization or any organization for that matter, if that particular department or that particular team, they work in a silo, they do not collaborate with other teams because of this mindset, don't you think there will obviously be slowness in taking decisions?
Right. Because if they focus on individual contribution, because if they're working on the number basis,
Hmm.
that will definitely more focus on the numbers and less focus on the innovation.
Correct.
Because it is not giving much importance.
Yes. Like, say, for example, governments. These days, governments, that's how work. They work in their own silos. This particular department works in this silos. And especially where I felt that there was a lot of disconnect is infrastructure development. So, infrastructure development, I have seen that it does not go hand in hand with the environment department or the protection of wildlife and everything. And if you see, a lot of times the projects get delayed just because this particular set of departments were not collaborative with the other departments, and projects get tend to get delayed by 5 years or 10 years, which adds to the extra cost. So that is one of the things. And finally, think about this. Okay, there are five different departments constituted in, say, for example, AML KYC, for example. And if one department is not speaking to the other department, a lot of times I have seen that, oh, that particular case does not get completed on time. It adds to the delays, and due to which the lead times go quite higher. So because of that one thing, client might get into the mindset of, probably they'll see at look at you that, oh, these people, they don't collaborate properly, and hence this issue happens, and I will take my business somewhere else.
Oh, right.
So
That sounds like impact on goodwill.
yeah, goodwill and your reputation gets tarnished. So why do you want to do that? Why not collaborate properly? Why have this particular habit? So I feel that this is one of the issues that affect the organizations.
Why does it persist? Like, I know it's a design, but why do you think that it exists?
Mainly, it's because it's more focus on quantity rather than quality of service. Because what happens is that if you are in the game of just meeting metrics, like say for example, oh, that organization sold so many products, I should also sell so many products. I want to beat that particular number. Okay. But if you don't get into the habit of innovation with collaboration, to be very specific, you will never develop new products or new ways to solve customers problems, which sometimes also gives way to a lethargy that okay, this is my metric, I will only do this, I will not do anything else. So that is something that affects an organization to a great extent. If you have the mindset of only meeting metrics but not doing innovation or development on the side. And also, it next thing that I would like to bring up is the individual mindset as well. Okay, so there is something called a scarcity mindset. A lot of times, as an individual, if you look at yourself, that oh, let's not talk about just work, let's talk about your personal thing as well. That you live in a society and you're doing good for yourself, but there are times when there are people who need help. Okay, but you tend to not help because oh, what if my helping creates a problem for me? Like what if the say let's take a simple example of rice. If I have 10 kgs of rice or 20 kgs of rice, and if somebody is not has not eaten for a day or 2 days, and you don't want to give at least 2 or 3 kgs to that person, why? Because I will only have left 7 kgs. After, so say if I have 10 kgs, I will give away 3 kgs. And then you say that, okay, I will only have 7 kgs. How will I survive for the additional 3 days? And you don't give it to them. So that is one of the examples I can give. That's the most crude or raw example.
So if you replace rice with resources and knowledge,
Correct.
and if I'm not willing to share my knowledge or resource, so basically it seems that I know that I am doing well, so it's kind of selfish. I know I'm getting all the perks and rewards, so again it's like selfish,
Hmm.
and for that reason I'm focusing on myself rather than the team.
Correct. And if you see, I have what in my personal experience, whenever I have helped people, they have done better. Why? Because okay, I taught them this one concept, but they improved on that concept. If you don't teach them the concept, they will never improve that version of concept that I had in my mind. Probably I will learn something new from them. Is not what I have seen people doing, but when I did that, I have gotten like 2 or 3x of return of that particular thing. So if you have that scarcity mindset situation, then no, I doubt that it will ever work for you. And it also, the another cause that I feel is very prominent is the leadership style. If the leadership style is of more of a command and control sort of a style, I don't think so the organization will ever come out of the zero sum culture. You need to have more of a collaborative, more of a communicative style, or probably a blend of both. I will not say completely communi- communication collaborative, but I will say a bit of leadership in terms of command and control is necessary. But 60, I would say 60% would be the blend, like 40% command and control, 60% of leadership, and should also focus on innovation and communication. Probably that is another factor that can help out. And if you are always on that short-term mindset or short-term performance metric, that okay, this quarter we have to achieve this quarter we have to achieve this, but what about the whole year or the years to come? Because if you don't concentrate on that, say if you're a very big organization and your price or your stock price movement affects the market, you have to think in a 10 years time frame or a 20 years time frame, what am I going to achieve? Like for example, of one of the banks that I recently worked with, they want to shift their whole client base or customer portfolio to all green projects by 2030, or at least 80 to 90% they're concentrating on only funding green projects. Why? because now non-renewable energy, there is a very high chance that non-renewable energy will have devastating effects on the environment. So they want to be like, okay, we will fund only green initiatives so that we can reduce our carbon footprint and a reliance on non-renewable energy. It's a very good thought process. So that is the reason they are also concentrating on green initiatives in the long term perspective, because obviously that will pay off. That particular gamble will pay off in the future.
It sounds like they're not process oriented, they're people oriented.
People oriented, they're environment oriented, because the world welfare also sometimes takes that particular shape in an organization's shift towards something collaborative or innovative. And moving on, like, what is the best thing that I would say is a very healthier alternative is a positive sum culture where everyone can win. Okay,
So, do you think that there are any practical way where we can shift from zero sum?
correct. So, right now, Robbie, what we are doing is more of a individual perspective of performing on metrics. Okay, but what if I say that, okay, for managers, there should be a team KPI that as a team, if you achieve this particular goal, we will also give an additional brownie points or probably additional incentives to the team if the team achieve this particular target. If an individual achieves, that individual will get something, but rest of the people who have put their efforts, what about them? What happens to them? So there's nothing for them. There's no skin in the game for them. And Robbie, tell me something. Will it always happen that everyone will perform the same?
No.
As a person who has worked for 15, 17 years, you know that it will never happen. Even as me, for myself, I think that there will always be someone better than you.
Yeah. Look at the fingers. They are all not same. But if we bring them together, it's a powerful symbol.
Correct. And that is what it should be. It needs to concentrate, or probably the positive some culture. That's the very first thing that they have to do is collaborative incentives that they have to do. Another thing is knowledge sharing platforms. I've seen that knowledge sharing is quite essential. If some of these organizations, like I've worked with this one IT firm which used to sell hardware. Okay. Now in the customer service, they had something called as the share network. Okay. So, and in that share network, they used to give like how to solve this particular problem. Okay. And so what happens is that I, as an individual, or sorry, as a trainer, I'm sorry, as a trainer, I can't cover all the topics that happen in customer service or probably a technical support. So what they used to do is they put it on a shared network where, okay, there was this problem and these were the steps that we helped to resolve. So what happens is that an individual, he's trained on using that particular network. So if he tries these 10 steps, this issue will be resolved. And the trainer does not have to cover everything, or the manager or whoever is the lead, they don't have to keep on teaching people, this is the problem, this is the solution. The network is there, go there, search for your problem, you will get this. And there's to resolve this. And a lot of people would achieve their targets by saying, oh, I was able to solve this problem because it was there on the network.
It seems that not just sharing knowledge, they're also making them independent.
Correct. So this way they can solve their problems by themselves as well. And in case if I as an individual find a new problem, I was given the opportunity that okay, I can put this on the network, and they will then someone will gain that information or knowledge from that network. So that was a very good concept that I saw.
In fact, that was really good concept. And in fact, I have worked in an environment where, every week we used to connect and we used to share our best practices. And we used to even discuss, client meetings, pros and cons, what went good, what happened, and how we can improve. And it literally, actually gave so much confidence to all the team members, and they were thriving independently. And it gave them an opportunity and a platform also to ask questions and speak about their views and be open about it. And the leadership was promoting that because with the one goal in mind that we are all working for one client. Our end goal is that if we really impress clients, we get more projects, and definitely we will increase our team strength, and that will eventually lead to more business.
Then the leadership also has to celebrate collective wins, because if you don't do team wins, or if you don't celebrate team wins, I think this creates a mindset in the individuals as well that, oh, even if I put any effort, I will not be appreciated. See, it is not always about giving money. It is about sometimes acknowledging the person as well. Like, for example, there are 10 people in the team or 5 people in the team, and one person does like 50-60% of the job, but rest of the 40% is contributed, right? Why are you not acknowledging that fact? If
Right.
they don't do that 40%, how will that one individual who did 60% or 50%, how will that person make any difference at the end of the day? If you see the very the very beloved game of cricket, if you see, it is not built by one individual, it's a collective team win. So as a if you as a individual who watches cricket appreciates the team in a sports setting, then what exactly happens to you when you're in a office environment? Why can't you do that as a lead? So that is quite important. And finally, what exactly happens is, one of the most important factors that I feel is also helps is building that culture of safety and trust building. So it has a psychological effect. Let's say you're in a team, you say that, okay, if you meet at least this target or do these 5 things, and don't worry about the KPIs, like in terms of numbers or achieving, at least do these 5 things, and we can, help you out over here. So the person, whoever is working, it gives them that psychological safety that, okay, fine, at least if I do these 5 things, I am safe at least. I may not win accolades, but at least I'm safe. And when you have the safety factor, you sort of build that particular trust and confidence that, now I did these 5 things. Can I do a sixth thing or a seventh thing? Because if I'm it's a different game altogether if you can't do anything. Okay. I can completely understand that there are individuals who cannot do even those 3-4 things as well. But majority of the people will strive their level best that, okay, if I am able to do at least these 4-5 things, I'll do the next thing as well. So this helps to build that trust in the individual himself as well, that, oh, I did something by myself, I think I can do the next thing as well.
That will definitely, clear all the self doubt that individual might have, or you know, boost his self esteem,
Yeah.
give him more confidence, and that will subsequently lead to an attitude where he will be more contributing.
Yes, because attitude shift is the problem these days.
Right.
Attitude shift is the problem. Don't you think that if you're able to shift that particular attitude of a person, maybe it may not happen in a month or 2 months, but say if you 6 months down the line or 1 year down the line, that person sees that, okay, this particular leader is actually putting an effort to make me feel important. So why not do something a little more? Okay. And it's not like a tactic per se. I would not want to label that. It's a very wrong way to label it as a tactic to get more work from people. But I feel it is more of a practice or a daily routine that people should do, especially the leadership should do. And if you do not practice what you believe in or preach, then I feel that individuals who work in your organization or in various teams, they will shift to a different organization. And so rather than having that kind of shift, why not have a shift of attitude? This will help to for the organizations to grow in an extent that may not be that cannot be imagined.
Yeah. That actually make gives quite a clarity on the structure part
Correct.
for both the leaders and the employees. How can they, operate? And can you give us some practical tips,
Yes.
for both the employees and the leaders or the managers, what they can do?
The very first thing I feel that employees or a individual should first shift their focus from competition to co-option. So what exact or collaboration is what I'm trying to get at is basically if you think that oh he's my competition all the time, yes, I understand it happens. You're in a team, you're against 10 people, so that thing happens that okay, yes, competition is there, so we need to give our like 100% and hence this is going to happen. But what if you have a blend of both? If you have a blend of both, then I think this issue will not happen, is what I feel. So have a little competition, healthy competition, but also have a cooperation mindset as well, that without me supporting others, we all will not grow together. Okay. So that is one thing. Then we have to be okay with other people winning. Okay. See, look at this from a perspective that they're your teammates. Okay. And if they do not win, then I do not win, is how I should or how an individual should be thinking. Because if I don't see that person winning, I'll be like, oh, I'll not be inspired that, okay, I should also do something like this. Because at some point of time, you have to be self motivated. And how you will be self motivated is by looking at others sometimes and seeing that, oh, because they won something, so I should be happy for them. And vice versa, if I win, they should be happy for me. If I'm not celebrating my peers' win openly, there is no building of trust, there is no building of collaboration there. And this is something that I think we have covered in one of our previous podcasts where about networking. Okay.
Right.
So if you don't have that particular mindset of collaboration, you will never build a network. People will always be like, oh, i- this is competition. I should not collaborate with anyone. And this will never build any kind of trust, or it will not build any kind of network for you, because you will always be looking behind your back or who is going to backstab me at the same time, right? So building allies is very important. So networking is quite important. And for our listeners, we have this podcast over there. You can go and check that out. It's one of the most listened podcasts as well. And moving on to managers. Okay. So you have to structure rewards around collaboration rather than only individual performance. Start to structure the rewards around collaboration as well, that okay, because the team contributed into this, I should do this as well. So I will give that one extra point for being collaborative. And there is also sometimes a metric that how good that particular person was with the team. So you should have that metric. Sometimes have a 360 evaluation, right? Like where you not only look at the individual but also ask his peers that how was this particular person when he was collaborating with you.
So you're suggesting after the project, maybe have a feedback.
Correct. So that is something where you have to be, structuring the rewards around the collaboration. Next thing is you have to avoid the language that frames work as us versus them.
So there's no I in the team.
Correct. It needs to be us. I know it sounds cliched and something, but it has a lot of psychological impact. Think about this. If I'm always like, oh, look at this particular person, look at that particular person, they're doing good, better than you, then you automatically go into that oh mindset that I will never be appreciated unless and until I am I do not become the person that I am. So I. So that one thing will always, pull you back. So so leaders have to also ensure that that language framework is properly done. That oh, as a team we have to do this particular. You have to sometimes drive it to a certain point that you as an individual as well should feel like okay, I am also responsible for this team's performance. So how am I going to support this particular team? And if you don't show that, the team will not show you their side of performance as well, is what I feel. And finally, there is this model abundance mindset as well. Like I have a lot of knowledge to share, I should share it in an abundance with the team. I should not be always restrictive. I need to go above and beyond, even when it is about, you know, that there is, sorry. So, yeah,
Go ahead, go ahead.
yes. So, model abundance is one of the mindsets that leaders have to cultivate by saying that, okay, there are a lot of these opportunities. If you don't fit over here, you fit over there. And I have a lot of knowledge, I will share it with you. Without that particular mindset of a manager, I don't think so. Again, stressing on that point that team will be collaborative with you.
So you're saying that if I share knowledge, I will not lose my edge. In fact, it will raise everyone's performance, like sharing best practices. And if I get promoted, I might lose my chance. But if I succeed, it will also increase team's value and I will share my success with them.
True, true. And that's on the closing note as well. It is very necessary that you have to look at this one particular point is that zero sum work culture, it will drain the organizations. And on the other hand, positive sum culture, it will fuel growth from a long term perspective. Okay. And this is something that I would like to request to my listeners as well, that when was the last time you rooted for your colleagues? Sorry, again, I'll come back on this point is, when was the last time that you rooted for a colleague's success as much as your own? If it was never, I think now is the time to push a little bit. I'm not saying lift them up and then, literally and take them around the office. No, I am not asking that. At least in your mind, have that one thing that, okay, I should be a little appreciative for the success of others, because they might have put more efforts than you. So acknowledge that one particular thing, and see to it that when you are doing it, others are also doing it for you. Okay. So this way, when you start, the other person will start appreciating you. And there are some of these facts that I would like to, put onto this particular forum, because we're here right now. Because of this whole thing, okay, some of these key statistics that I was able to get out on a basic search is that employees in a collaborative environment report a 17% of increase in job engagement and satisfactions. And organizations that promote this collaboration are 5x more likely to be high performing. And teams with strong collaboration can be 20 to 25% more productive and 21% more profitable than the less collaborative teams. And it will also have an impact of 33% on innovation and problem solving. And eventually, obviously, when things are faster decision making and project completion will lead to a faster growth for that organization. So these are some of the facts that I was able to find on a general search. So it does have some impact, but it's just that organizations need to do it on a very large scale to make any impact in the probably in the economy as well. So do let us know your thoughts and comments or on any topics that you would like to hear. Thank you so much and have a nice day.